All right, on today's Tech Time Tuesday, we're going to be taking a look at Koni Evo twin tube shocks, and the same also goes for the FSD series, the twin tube shock in design in general.
Tech Time Tuesday.
Two things we want to clarify on this. One is what's the right way and what's the wrong way to install them, which way is up and down. And then also, should we be worried about anything being missing here? So first of all, we'll take this out of the vise here. You'll notice there's an arrow that says top that's on the bottom of the shock, but the arrow is pointing up towards the top of the shock. So that means that arrow needs to be pointed upward toward the top of the shock. And why is that? Well, this is a twin tube shock, and that means that there is an inner cylinder and then a base valve or foot valve separating that inner cylinder from the outer cylinder. And in order for that base valve to work properly, it relies on basically gravity to keep that fluid fully in contact with it. So if I turn it upside down, it's not going to work properly. So first, let's put it in the vise and just show how this shock works. So this is a 9905-1036. So this is the M2 front Evo shock. We've gotten lots of questions from people about which way they should be mounted. So let's just see how it works when it's in its correct orientation. So we'll cycle it. Can feel like most every Koni, it's got more resistance in rebound. Nice strong shock. These are really good shocks. Got the bigger bore piston and also still has the FSD module, so that really gives you really good ride and handling. So real good, smooth control. All right, so what I'm going to do eventually is flip it over and show you what's different. But first, like and subscribe so that you stay in touch with us. You keep up to date on videos like this so that we're always releasing more videos. Want to make sure that you stay in the loop. So please do so. Please also comment below if you have any questions or if there's any other things that you would like us to cover on Tech Time Tuesday. And before I flip it over, also, I do want to point something out. So you can see here, the shaft, the shiny chrome of the shock is exposed there. Is that a concern? I think maybe that's what makes a lot of people think, oh, I need to flip it over because it just doesn't look right to them. It is true that most shock absorbers, most Konis, do come with some sort of a dust cover or dust tube that covers that. Is that necessary? No. The reason that this part number does not come with that is there just wasn't clearance around the mount on the front of the M2. And it's not it's not unheard of for Koni to make a shock like this. So you look at the 8805-1019, that's the rear F53 shock. Those have been around for well over 15 years. Those do not come with dust covers. They still are covered with the same lifetime warranty. So very good backing from Koni. That dust cover does not, make or break the durability of this shock. Really, you've got an outer wiper seal there and then an inner seal that's really protected by this outer top seal, what you see on the top there. So there's a lot to the top of that shock, to the seal, that is protecting it, preventing it from leaking, more so than just whether or not it has that dust cover on the top. So now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and flip this over and see how it performs differently. Basically what I'm doing is I'm getting air mixed in there. So the shock is not going to perform how it should. You're going to lose compression damping. And eventually that can lead to just poor performance of the shock. I've had multiple customers actually come to us and say, my shocks are not working right. These Konis are junk. It's not the shock is junk. It's just it was installed improperly. That is going to lead to porpoising, poor control, just because it's not installed properly. Yeah, you can see how I'm able to suddenly kind of push it. It's actually honestly impressive that it's taken as long as it is to really get to that point. Yeah, see how that sudden jump? Let's flip it over. We're gonna have to cycle it a few times, but we'll get that air out. Yeah, did you see that? How I was able to suddenly push it down and it clunked? So we're gonna have to cycle it a few times now to actually work all of that air back out to where it's not doing that anymore. Also important to note that if this happens, if you did find out your shocks are installed improperly, doesn't necessarily mean that they're junk now, but what you may have to do is take them off and cycle them to work that air out. Full extension to full compression, just get that air back to where it should be. So again, make sure this arrow that says top is pointed up towards the top of the shock, the main body of the shock. So not the hollow dust tube if it has one, or if it doesn't, the thin just shaft of it, that has to be at the top. The main body has to be at the bottom, so that way gravity holds all that fluid in contact with that base valve, the foot valve in the shock, and lets it work properly. So hopefully that was helpful to you guys. Again, please like and subscribe, and until next time, want to wish you safer and happier driving. Thank you.
Tech Time Tuesday.